Their job is to defend their country's interests, but once that job wraps up, their country has no interest in them any longer. Tens of thousands of American war veterans are simply being discarded.
They're coming home to a disproportionate rate of homelessness, of foreclosures and evictions. In 2010, a whopping 75,000 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans in the United States were homeless, were sleeping on the streets.
War veterans like 55-year-old Joe Mangione. After 16 years of military duty, he's homeless on the streets of New York with health problems he can't afford to take care of and no job.
Just to sit here like this is not easy. You know, it's degrading. You know, it's I don't know, it's just demoralizing. I have no resources, you know. I can't collect unemployment because I was hurt and I was working cash. And that unemployment runs out anyhow.
Joe says all the U.S. military machine cares about is money, while the people who risk their life and limb are disposed of once they've served their purposes of politicians.
It's just a bunch of deceptions. It's about numbers. You know, there's strength in numbers. And as long as they keep the numbers up, the recruiter gets his money, he gets his promotions, his bonuses. They care for themselves. They don't care about us. They care about their own banknotes.
The U.S. is winding down its operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, but the damage to the people who fought in those wars remains.
We have a VA system that is unable to provide us with the services that we need, the services that we're entitled to as a result of, us signing a contract and putting our lives on the line for our country.
Unemployment rates among war veterans are staggering.
They're coming home to an unemployment rate of about 30% for Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. And this is, triple the national average.
Joining the military used to be considered a great career step that led to a life of honor. These days, this couldn't be further from the truth.
Joining the U.S. military is probably one of the stupidest retirement or career moves you can make as a human being.
Editorial columnist Ted Rall says military service is one of the biggest hoaxes in American history.
They're defending the borders, they're expanding the empire. We owe them. They've lost their minds, and they've lost limbs, and they've lost their time, and they took the risks, and they deserve it. But somehow it's just, generation after generation, America keeps screwing its vets.
There are said to be 18 suicide attempts a day among veterans in America, hundreds each month. Handling the realities of being forgotten at home is tough.
When you come home, you're foreclosed on, your job's gone, and then they want you to go to shelters. And shelters pretty much housing criminals, drug addicts, and a lot of us can't tolerate that lifestyle.
The hardest truth is that many believe forgotten vets back at home is a permanent stain on America's image.
This reality is set to continue indefinitely with no end in sight. So despite the Iraq war supposedly ending, and of course that's yet to be seen, the reality for soldiers of these constant deployments to wars we don't want to fight, that is not going to change.
After almost 9 years of war in Iraq, the U.S. government plans to bring American soldiers back home by the winter holidays. But with joblessness, homelessness, and official neglect, an undeniable reality for America's veterans, after the cruelty of war, thousands more may be faced with the cruelty of life after it. Anastasia Churkina, RT.